The UFC is going to make a deal with both WWE and TNA to promote their Brock Lesnar versus Frank Mir UFC 81 fight. Besides getting the rights to use WWE footage in the TV commercials in a deal that was described as not difficult at all to put together, as both sides felt it was mutually beneficial. They also have a Lesnar versus Mir promotional video of Lesnar on the WWE.com website, and a second Lesnar, Mir, and Kurt Angle video will air on TNA this week, with all three talking about pro wrestling and hyping the fight. TNA is also supposed to be pushing the All Access show with Lesnar that will air 1 hour after Impact on Spike. This is a big deal, man. The idea of you guys and WWE all promoting the same fight, that just doesn't feel like it's even possible, but wrestling makes strange bedfellows sometimes. How does this deal come to be? Is it just Spike asked for the favor and it's kind of hard to say no, huh?
Yeah, I mean, they're paying the bills. I mean, look, the relationship between UFC and Spike, that to me will go down in history as
an example of what not to do.
What, Spike and UFC?
Yeah, I mean,
well, I'm talking about from the beginning. I think
I am too. Like Spike should have demanded some points in hindsight.
Oh, okay. So I'm not getting into you ain't kidding, getting into the DNA of that. But as far as launching, and I know that it existed beforehand, but when you really look at launching a brand of entertainment, and I'm calling MMA entertainment, yes, I'm not going to, but just launching a brand, what a success story. I mean, incredible. And launching it off Monday Night Raw on Monday nights, just all the moves that they made strategically to get it up and running. And, just last night, Bellator was on CBS, and you kind of look at that, and Conrad, they do have points in that. Matter of fact, they own it. So you think they learned their lesson there. But
by the way, time out. Did you watch that Bellator fight last night?
I was off and on. I had.
Did you see Fedor and Bader in the main event?
I did.
What do you think?
As an ass whooping.
Oh my goodness.
What'd you think, Connie?
I listen, I was never bought in on Fedor. I've got a one of my very best wrestling friends, Clint from Hershey, as we call him here on the programs, the world's biggest Fedor fan for years and years and years. And I used to give him trash talk all the time. I was not a Fedor guy. I was not bought in. I felt like a lot of what we saw in Japan was theater. And Buddy Bader ate him alive again last night.
Can we say woodshed?
Yeah, that was dominant.
Morrow, we've never talked about Morrow.
What do you think of Morrow as a wrestling voice?
I am a huge fan.
Yeah, he's tremendous.
Conrad, I was texting, I'll say I was texting Sully last night. I think Morrow has such he's, you look at different singers in Nashville, they're just gifted a voice. You just look, you can have brains and knowledge and stats and rattle things off and cadence and have the right partner with you. Morrow's, I believe it's his tone, his voice just oozes emotion. You feel what he's saying. I mean, he's trying to hammer. I can remember last night. He's trying to hammer his way into. He's great. He is real. I think MMA, boxing, wrestling. Again, when he does a wrestling match, you have the feel of, hey man, this is real. This is authentic. I'm engaged in this. He's great. He's really, really good.
Isn't it a shame he's not with WWE anymore? He should be calling wrestling again.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd love him. To me, make him the voice of NXT and just let him go.
Yeah.
I don't
any brand, and I don't mean that in disrespect to anybody. Any brand. I mean, when he called the boxing,
I
was just, damn, he's making kind of a 3-minute boxing round where all they did was just kind of touch each other. I mean, literally, there's rounds of boxing that
But
almost
he's
nothing
selling
happened.
it.
You
He's
ain't
selling
kidding, dude. There's a
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of like I'm going old school here. Lance Russell had a cadence for an enhancement match. Hell, he had to do them every Saturday morning, 3 or 4 of them, but kind of made you either like or dislike whoever was in the ring in such a subtle way that it was entertaining. I mean, you know, Lance, his contributions to the Saturday morning rating success are so understated. Jarrett, Jerry Lawler, and Lance Russell stirred the drink, but Lance is in that conversation. And, you know, my old man may not think, may not agree with that. I'm kidding. But no, I mean, it's, hey, that's the voice. And when you can connect with that voice, there's something about it. But yeah, old Fedor, he's done. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Did you think there was any chance you were going to get Brock inside the Impact Zone for some sort of crossover promotion? Did you even ask?
Oh, I'm sure we asked. No, I didn't. I always have kind of looked, and I think in today's, I'll call it social media, digital world, and all the water under the bridge with Brock, um, good or bad, I think it's going to take a little time for people to really digest how unique of a athlete, performer, MMA fighter, professional wrestler, human being Brock is. He had, you know, started, you know, well, of course, amateur wrestling, but, you know, started in professional wrestling and then got out of it and had his MMA run. And then he's come back. I
Right on
always,
top.
yeah. And his matches are not anything like you see, but man, there's a boatload of psychology behind it. Shout out to Paul Heyman. Um, there's just a really good feel about it and all that. But I always looked at Brock when he was in MMA. Vince is loaning him out, but what is Vince really doing? He's just doing some character development over this other brand because I'm gonna get him back. I've
Right.
really always looked at their relationship that Vince just said, "Yeah, Brock, go make your money and develop your character a little bit more, but not on my dime."
Well, he always comes back and he always makes a bunch of money. So hard to argue that they're not two of the smartest guys in wrestling.